Vista.
Hello animation students. This video is for those that may have been absent or that want extra practice on creating the house model in Blender. Let's get started. Alright, to start our house off, we're going to use the default cube here. So let's just go ahead and name that. Over here on the left hand side we have the Properties tab and it says Cube. We're going to change this name to House. Alright, now let's go into edit mode. Remember, there's two ways. You could hit the tab key or you can come up here and choose edit mode. And we want these vertices on the top. Right now all of them are selected, so I'm going to hit Alt A and I'll get just the vertices I need by selecting one, holding shift, and getting the other three. I'm going to get a front view now. Maybe zoom in a little bit, and I'm going to hit G, then Z, and slide this down to shorten our cube. Now I'm going to hit E, and it should already go on the Z axis, and I'll just raise this up a little bit. Now with those four vertices still selected on the top, I'm going to right click with the mouse, and I'm going to choose Merge Vertices at Center. See, that gives us our pyramid. Our next step is going to create an overhang on the roof of our house. So we need to first put this 3D cursor up here on this vertex. So I'm going to say Shift S, and by the way I have that top vertex still selected. And I'm coming down here to Cursor to Selected. Notice how that puts the 3D cursor right on that vertex. From here I'm going to switch to Edge Select mode. So over here next to edit mode, and I'm going to get this edge and I'm going to rotate this around. I'm pressing the wheel on the mouse to rotate around and holding shift to get all four of those vertices. Now we're going to do what's called an extrude scale, so E then S, but if I do that right now, let's take a look. We can see it comes straight out. That's not quite how we want it to look. What we need to do is change our pivot point. So I'm going to come up here to the top next to where it says global and choose 3D cursor. So now it's going to scale from this 3D cursor out. So if I do ES, I can now pull down the overhang on that roof. This might be a good time to save your work. Save file, save. You may want to create a folder, or you could just name it. So I'll call this house video example and save. Alright, let's switch back to vertex select. And I'm going to select a vertex down at the bottom of my house. Really doesn't matter which one. And a Shift S because we're going to put the 3D cursor down here now. Cursor to selected, and you notice my cursor goes to the bottom. We'll switch to object mode. So I just hit tab, or again you can switch it up here, and we're going to add a new object. So up here add, or you can do Shift A, mesh, plane. Now this will be easier to see from a top view, so I'm going to hit 7 on the number pad. I'm going to hit S, and then 7, and then enter to give us a plane that's 7 times the size. Now for this next step, we might as well hide this plane because it can't get in the way. So I could come over here on the left hand side where it says plane and click it, or I can hit H when it's selected to hide it. I'm going to go back to my house and back into edit mode. Next up, we want to select all the faces on the right side of the house. So I'm going to come over here and choose Face Select. I'm going to hit 3 on the number pad, and I'm going to select all 3 of these faces by holding Shift. Back to my front view, and we're going to extrude these out. So I'm going to hit E. But you notice it's about to go on a strange angle, which we don't want. So we have to hit X to go on the X axis. And I'm going to put in 2 to make it twice as long. Okay. Next up, you'll notice that if we look underneath the overhang, that put in some faces that we really don't want. So here's how we're going to get rid of those. I'm going to put this in wireframe mode, which is over here on the top right corner. Or I can hit Z and choose wireframe. I'm going to switch to edge select. And we're going to select this interior edge that's inside the house here. And X and choose edges to delete it. Now let's go back into solid mode. And you'll notice we don't have those faces underneath anymore. Moving on, let's switch to face select. I'm going to select all the faces on the bottom of our house. Okay, and we're going to subdivide these. So I can right click and I'll choose subdivide. We could choose it from the menu now and bring it up to 3, actually 4. Or you could have just kept right clicking and choosing subdivided, repeating it. Either way will work. So now we have more faces to use for our house, for our door and our windows. So I'm going to first deselect these, so Alt A. Alright, let's select some faces here. So I'll select one, hold Shift, and get some more. I'm going to hold Shift to get some for the windows. Alright, and we're going to extrude these in. To make this easier to see, let's get a side view. So 3 on the number pad. We're going to go to wireframe. I'll choose it up here this time. And I'm going to extrude and push it in a little bit. Now if I go back to solid mode, you can now see that we've pushed in those to create our door and our window. So I'm going to continue this for the rest of the house. We'll put a big one here. So in this case I'm going to want a front view. Extrude, push it in. Let's do the other side. How about 2 small windows on this side? And let's do the back. We'll do 3 windows on the back. We get a side view, go into wireframe, extrude, and push them in. Back to solid. Okay, we now have all our doors and windows for our house. Let's go back to object mode. So I'm going to hit Tab, and I'll unhide our plane. And there is our completed house, at least completed at this point. So be sure you save your work. And that is the completed house.